I seem to have lost my terminal. There it is. Right, we were going to look at 3 projects, Syft, Grype, and Stereoscope, using this silly script that I wrote. And I need a browser window as well. Where is a browser window? I'm really not used to Mac OS, you know. Somewhere there's a browser window. Bear with me. Could it be that one? Yes, it's that one. Do you know what? I had a moment earlier. I got rid of like 100 tabs in my browser. I felt so proud of myself. Right, let's find some bugs. Hopefully these will launch in this browser here. Yes. Right. Here we go. I will move this over a little bit so you guys can see it. So this is only 12 hours old. Right. Supplier information missing in SBOM. Ooh. Is that? Ah, is it? Is it that one? Okay. So let's just read that. It's not that one. Let me just read it. So I was not able to give you. This is a copy paste of the comment, right? That's in that other bug. That one. Yes, it's a copy paste of that comment. I just converted it. Okay. Understood. So, what's the actual problem? They generate an SBOM. I'm going to attach to the SBOM here. We have not been able to get the supplier information in the SBOM generated. The SBOM editor. So this is a local thing, right? A minimal OS that they built on that date. Yeah. Right. Where did I?
It's not covering like all.
One moment. I think I'm having audio glitches here. Only hear Alan's. Josh is saying he can only hear me. Sorry. Bear with me just one sec. Thanks, Josh. Oh, you heard Alex, when I turned the audio on. So if one of you speak now, Josh says, hello.
Hello. Hi.
I'm hearing echo. Josh, can you tell us if you're hearing echo or if you're hearing everything fine?
I do not hear an echo.
No, I don't think you would. Thumbs up. There we go. So the point was there's a file, I take it, that they've... let's see if we can open that file. What was it? It was... oh, man, I need to turn that off. 070 whatever. 07 thing. Right.
Yeah, you might want to do a cat to JQ to get it to format.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So, there's not a lot of detail in there.
So I think one question I've got is that like, so this is like, so looking at the other issue where this kind of came from, they found 58 components of the 650 represented in the SBOM. I mean, this is like action taken when specifically importing into Black Duck. And so like, say we do, so I've got a magic wand. We can magically add supplier to all these. I still need an instance of Black Duck to test that like it worked, so to speak. So, am I reading this right? Or oh, wait, can anybody hear me?
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, I'm looking through this file as well here, and I see a bunch of no assertion suppliers. I mean, and the things that are listed are RPM files. So I'm guessing that this directory RH, home RH7 work contains a bunch of RPM files. And presumably that's what we're not slurping supplier information out of.
Yeah, although interestingly, when you run Syft on a container image with RPMs, the supplier field is populated. So we have some conversion of the RPM cataloger to the supplier concept in SPDX, but maybe the directory scan isn't, or the RPM file cataloger rather than the RPM DB cataloger isn't extracting the same or doing the same conversion when it's being converted to SPDX.
Yeah, I'm seeing us only. Well, actually, hold up. So we have entries in the switch. So I'll post in the chat where I'm looking. But it looks like we have entries for both RPM DB as well as RPM archive. And so we're saying these are RPM archive, the RPM files that like they are probably scanning. Because if that's the case, this might be further backstream than like putting the supplier together. We actually might be missing some of this information in the cataloger itself for RPM files, or it's just not there in the RPM file. Actually, that would be surprising though.
Yeah, it should be there in the RPM, but it's possible our RPM file cataloger isn't capturing it, or at least maybe not in the same way that the SPDX conversion is expecting.
Yeah, I guess either of those are possible. Let's go glance at that cataloger for a second. See if anything pops out.
They haven't mentioned that they've tried it with a container and that it's different. But you're saying you would expect if it was a container, it would pull the metadata for these packages, right?
I just tried it, just looking at a rel-based image that has RPMs installed, but they're not RPM files; they're just installed RPMs. And our cataloger goes to the RPM DB, extracts information. I did the output to SPDX JSON, and the supplier field is populated for those packages. Whereas in this case, the report is the supplier field is not populated. And so I'm trying to figure out if it's a difference in the catalogers or something else.
I
I think it's that. Sorry, Keith, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at the SPDX output and I see both RPM DB entries and RPM archives being handled here for the supplier. So it's definitely got to be something that's not populating the vendor properly for some reason, which it looks like it should be doing in the RPM archive cataloger.
Yeah, but we're also throwing away the error. And so it would be, I think like one change we should like make that to trace log, just to get that info. So like it's visible somewhere in the log if we were dropping these for whatever reason. But like it could be that we're getting it and it actually is blank because we have the wrong input into this like get string. I don't see why that would be the case so far, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a cataloger is my guess. If I were to flip a coin, it's probably the cataloger. But not obvious. So okay, this looks like something that we could look at and is ready to get picked up from a gardening perspective. I could add a comment as to what we kind of talked about on the issue.
Nice. Thank you for that. That was a nice
Other folks
one.
agree? Other folks agree or think there's something else to chat through on this one?
I see 2 thumbs up.
Cool.
Thank you. Was this the duplicate I opened? The one that we thought was a duplicate? That was the number you gave me earlier. Yes. So that's not one for gardening. Right. Cool. So yes, there was only one. So that was in Syft. Right. Okay, so this one is also Syft. Deprecated syntax for author. This is Keith's favorite topic, Cyclone DX 1.6, I believe. The deprecated syntax for author field. The deprecated syntax for author field is still used by Syft 190. Oh, okay. Use authors, so it can be a list, I guess. So let's reproduce the issue. Okay. Is that a major problem? I mean, it's deprecated in the future. By the sound of it, it's not deprecated now. It will be.
I mean, this looks like a definite one to, gardening wise, just put it in the ready column. I think we can populate both of those fields. And then whichever format they choose should output a non-deprecated thing for them. My one fear about this one is I believe that the way that the Cyclone DX handles different versions is it kind of just has like everything all together in like a super object. And so like whatever you put, it just zeroes out fields that aren't part of like an older spec. And so like we might have to like just live with having a deprecated thing in addition to like the new thing for a little while or something along those lines.
Is that the third party lib itself is doing that therefore?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think, there could be something else that it does here, but I'm pretty sure when I looked at how it handled the different formats, just out of curiosity one day, that's what I saw. Or excuse me, the different versions.
mean, if you think it's worth capturing as a caveat in the comment, but I mean, I don't think so. I think it's just put this into, I think we think this is put it into ready and
Yep.
yeah.
Sweet. Is that all we needed? Just the
Yeah. Because yeah. Because like there might be multiple actions to take on this, but like I think that can be figured out at implementation time. So
groovy. Just close the wrong tip. That's that one again. I don't know why that's popped up. Okay, what's next? Okay, so this is all in Grype 9 that need some eyeballs. Unable to extract GHSA Java package. Oh, Maven. So this is a little bit old. Okay. So we've looked at this in the last couple of months and we know it's an issue, I see. Unable to extract Java package. Name is required.
Can we see if this is still an issue? This seems to have been reported against quite an old version.
yeah, it's true.
Oh, good spot. So what are they running it against? They haven't got every red
It looks like it's a deb package called zlib 1g dev. So, but I don't have the exact. Okay, it looks like it's a Ubuntu flavor, but I don't know exactly what version of Ubuntu this is.
Where are you seeing that?
I am. So I'm seeing in where you're scrolling around, and the package has like type deb, and then version. It's EPAC 1 blah 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 dash Ubuntu 4. So I'm guessing it's Ubuntu distro or Ubuntu flavor distro.
Yeah.
But I don't see. So like we're not gonna be able to replicate it exactly, but like we can get doggone close.
What was the package?
Oh wait,
Was
sorry.
Zip?
Hold up. Am I crazy? They're saying, oh, okay. So down at the very bottom of this issue, they're saying Red Hat. They ran this on. Oh, they ran this on Red Hat. But are they running this against? Yeah, we don't have enough info.
Yeah.
Is it worth pinging them and just saying, "Hey, is this still happening?" Because it's been 2 years, right? It's probably not still happening.
That is fair.
Well, the thing is, oh yeah, it totally agreed. But we also haven't done the minimum NTIA requirements completely. Like we have that milestone open right now. And part of that is making certain that there is a name for a package. Like that's something we do not universally do for all catalogers in Syft. And so if like Syft isn't doing that, pipes into Grype, it's just going to blindly take the Perl and this won't work. So this feels like it plays into the minimum NTI requirements somehow. And there's a little more context. Like there's multiple ways that we can handle that. So like if we're missing a name, we're missing a version per the minimum requirements, we can't even have a package. So like one answer is to drop the package. Another answer is to fill it in with a canned, like some canned string. It's like fill me in here. Here for a name that would be a little awkward, but it for it's SBOM output that might be totally fine. Okay, so why am I mentioning this? This hints to be there's a default configuration switch in Grype that probably makes sense a switch we haven't built in Syft, but like a switch in Grype that we would probably leverage because it doesn't make sense to try to do vuln matching against something you don't have a name. Like you just should not vuln match that package. Like, not going to work. So I mean, that should be dropped, and we should note that in the Grype output. Whether that means that we're like flip the switch on for minimum NTIA requirements for Syft when Grype is using Syft as a lib, or if we just change the Grype output to be able to denote when we drop things for these reasons. So we don't know if we're going to get a compliant FOM or not. Sorry.
And that's just for the first warning. The second warning has a different flavor altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't read all the way to the end on that one. Unsupported format. Yeah. Seems wrong. We do support that.
Well, except it's comparing to an RPM vulnerability. So it's almost like this is a Red Hat system that has a Debian package installed.
Thank you.
Very weird case. That's why I agree with the previous assertion. We need more, like much more information, like what's going on here? What are you scanning?
I could post a comment asking that question, and then we can move on to the next one. So
yeah, and it might well be this is no longer a problem given it was a while ago. So yeah, but well spotted. I didn't notice the it's a mishmash.
Yeah.
What if it's an alien package? Was that alien the package manager that would convert from one to the other?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a horrible thought. So this one is a false positive. I don't think we've Tim put it on the backlog. Grype reports 521J for Oh, this didn't we have this last week? When a package was renamed over time.
Yeah, we had one of those. Was it this particular issue though? I mean, this one is in the backlog.
It wasn't this one, no.
The other one is in one of the actions.
That's right. Where was it we found this? It was in there was some Maven lookup thing online that showed you all the packages, wasn't there?
There's like Maven Central.
Was it Maven Central? Was it?
Maybe. I think that's where we ended up last week.
Oh. Is this another one that's changed? What version was on this? 521 is not arc. So this is. So they're saying it's found Quarkus arc, but they actually wanted arc.
I would guess that the list of CPEs includes arc, which is going to match more than a more specific CPE Quarkus arc. This is a false positive report, and the CVs are from 2005. So I suspect our CPE generator is being too aggressive, or creating a CPE that's not actually the package that's installed. If I had to guess, there's not enough information to say that conclusively, but it seems like.
I read it the same way. So I guess maybe, let's see, if we just ask if this is still a problem again, because it's over a year old, and then also if there's a way to reproduce it, I think I'm happy to make that comment here.
Sweet. That does make
this
sense.
One's already in backlog, so no other action to take. But yeah, thanks, Keith.
Nice one. Ignore Go compiler affecting CVE when Docker image only contains a binary compiled with Go. Image does not have a Go compiler, but only contains a binary compiled with the Go compiler statically linked against. Do you know what? I've not been pasting these in the chat, have I? So people can see them. Sorry.
this is a really tricky problem because when you
Mhm.
build a binary with Go, the Go standard library is statically linked into it, which is the same sort of package as the Go compiler. And so it's very, very hard to tell. Like I think in this case, only affect the Go compiler itself. Um, and so like maybe he's right that in this case they only affect the Go compiler himself. But this says like the Go command may generate unexpected code at build time when using cgo. So it sounds like if the compiler might generate unexpected code and your binary was built with it, you don't know if you're vulnerable or not. It's very hard to say you're not vulnerable because it's a bug in the compiler.
So there is one option. It's not available to us today. And actually, I still think this is dead, and I still think it might still have the exact same conclusion you just said, which is we're not going to be able to tell. But like, yeah, this is a vulnerability data issue. There's not enough info in where we're pulling today. And I think if I go back to the yeah, okay. So I'm not certain, but by the way that they're invoking Grype, I think they're matching directly against NVD. So like, there's just not going to be enough info there. But Go does have its own vulnerability database, and we've toyed about pulling that in. One thing that they do have for each vulnerability. So like for this one here, I'll throw this in the chat. I think this was the right one. Like they do have affected packages denoted. Oh, did I just paste the wrong one? Let's see. Go. Let's see. Sorry. Okay, no, this is the right one. So the link I just had, this is the same CV they reported for the oh yeah, sorry, I put selected the wrong CV. But note that in that link that they have the affected packages. And so there is a chance on like if we pull this into the data set, so on the vulnerable side, we churn through all the Go vulnerability info and we filter out anything that is or it's packages that are not related to the standard lib. The downside is I don't know if that's feasible, that last part, but like I don't know if the affected packages can be interpreted correctly in that way. Because like technically the runtime is a package that can be referenced from the standard. So it's like, oh, but that's right. I picked the wrong one to look at. So if I go to one of the other ones, let me go to one of these other ones. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. The one he's saying to filter out, we would have been able to figure out that this was incorrect because all of this, the packages affected are command/go. We know that's the entry point for Go. That's not the standard lib.
But I think that I don't know. I'm still not super comfortable crossing that line because if the Go command can emit can emit the wrong bytecode, like the compiler can do the wrong thing at build time, is your app safe just because your app doesn't statically link the package that bug was in? I don't think so.
I mean, that is one of the assertions that the Go vulnerability database, like they have this down to a function package level saying like these symbols from these packages are what's affected. So, and so say for this one in particular, the last one is linked, this Go 2023-1842. So they've said that the affected packages are command cgo, command go. They didn't say it was anything in the standard lib. And we know that what's getting statically compiled is not anything from command go. So like, therefore the Venn diagram does not overlap.
But I feel like that doesn't bear on what I said a moment ago.
Oh, sorry.
So the first word of the CD description is the go command may generate unexpected code at build time. So that sounds to me like it's a flaw in the compiler such that the resulting binary, even if it doesn't link against the compiler, is not trustworthy.
That's a little meta, yeah. So like, I see what you're saying now.
But it's one of those things where like if the tool chain's compromised, the binary is compromised, right?
Right.
And
right.
so I would want this flagged and recompile if this was like processing PII on my server or something.
Right.
And I know the code exhibiting the vulnerability is technically not statically linked into the executable, but like the executable was compiled with a compiler that can do untrusted things at build time and is therefore not to be trusted. And it's this sort of thing where it's like, it's maybe a false positive if you're lucky, but like I don't know. I don't know how, but again, that information is just in the description. That's not even machine readably like encoded into the data we have. So I don't know. I don't know how we would, in my opinion, this is a true positive in like that meta sort of sideways way. But also, even if we wanted to treat it differently, like I guess we could try to pull in the affected package stuff, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a vulnerability in the compiler affects all its output because the compiler was vulnerable.
So like one thing, first of all, let me just say that I wholeheartedly agree that, I mean, when you're talking about like the software supply chain, right, this is definitely something that could have an adverse effect, that could get something included in a binary that is malicious. Like that's, I think, like the main thing to like take away from this particular thing, even though that particular package isn't like executed or present in the binary itself, there could be some malicious artifact because it was used. But the I guess like the comment I have about that is today I don't really think we're tracking a lot of those types of things. An example is like Maven, like Java build time plugins. Like we're not capturing any of that. So if there was like log4j in there somewhere that somehow could have been compromised and done something, we're not, like, generally speaking, we're not capturing that anywhere. And I'm not saying we shouldn't or should, but like I think we should, if we have like come to the conclusion that we should be capturing all this build time stuff and surfacing it as, you know, potential build time vulnerabilities, and we should try to be consistent about it. I
think it depends what you're scanning. I think in Go, we have the nice advantage that the compiler versions with the standard library, and the standard library is detectable in the final binary. So like we can check. I don't know, with the Maven stuff, I guess if we were scanning a source directory and there were CVEs against build tools that were depended on in the source directory, we would flag them. If they're not present in the final artifact, then we don't know about them and we can't flag what we don't know about. But anyway, I don't know if we need to get that philosophical. I was just like, this is only kind of a little bit a false positive, and it's close enough to the line that I would treat it as a true positive. So I think you're talking on mute, Alex.
It's my favorite hobby. Yeah, so I agree that I think you can pick out of a crowd 2 people, and you could find one person that says this is wholeheartedly a true positive, and you could find another person that says this is wholeheartedly a false positive based on their context, and they're both going to be right. Maybe that's an opportunity in Grype to be able to clarify to the user. So like, say we did have this phone info, would we tell the user some additional information to help them make that decision, or partition it themselves, or maybe have a config switch to have Grype do it for them? I don't know about that one, but like at least the output side point of view. Because I do hear like what the user's saying, which is like, okay, I have these CVEs are reported, and based off of my way that I'm classifying these, like, you know, when he reports to a security team, he's going to say only this one is the one that matters, or his security team's going to report back, this is the one that matters. And like, so is there a way for him to, without having to go out to go vuln dev or package go dev, etc., and us to report that in the report as opposed to having to go out and find all that information individually for all these? That might be worth doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those categories of, if we have the premise of we're going to try to surface as many things that may be vulnerabilities as possible, because the consequences from a security perspective of missing something is a lot higher than the consequences of reporting something that's not present from a security perspective. From a putting time into a perspective, it's inverted. That's why, but we generally have the premise of trying to surface as accurate as possible without compromising coverage. So if that's the premise, this seems in my mind to fall into that category of decorations on top of vulnerability data itself, like the Kev list, like EPSS scores, like whether or not it was introduced by the compiler. Like if we can source that information and annotate vulnerabilities with these additional pieces of information, then a system could be built to create more sophisticated prioritizations.
Yeah, I agree. So,
but whether or not that information exists so we could build an annotation set for this specific characteristic, I don't know. I don't know if you could ask the question of all the vulnerabilities, which ones are of this category where it was introduced by the compiler, not something else.
I think the distinguishing line would still be the one that's originally being requested, because like the package is standard lib.
Yeah.
And so like if we could decorate that, like the affected package is in the standard lib versus no, it's affecting some other aspect of Go. Yeah, that would be a nice decoration. But like, yeah, I agree with Will, what you're saying. Like, no, this is, we don't want to remove it. Like, yeah, you convinced me.
That's why we have these discussions. So is there a 3-line tweet size summary that we can give, or is it just we need to articulate this?
Yeah, I'll write a comment and put it into, well, yeah, I'll put a comment. So
thank you. Another false positive. Python 3 Flash. SLES?
So there's a huge category of SLES false positives. And
Rude.
Basically, no, I mean, it's not.
I'm joking.
It's because, so there's two different ways of approaching it. So the situation is that when Grype will find two packages. If you do something like, yum install Python 3 URL lib3 or whatever, then Grype finds two packages. It finds an RPM, or in this case, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't remember SLES's package, so we're just going to pretend it's RPM. So Grype will find an RPM called Python 3 URL lib3 at version 2.7, let's say, and it will also find a PyPy package URL lib3 at version 2.7, and then we have to decide, like, do we match against one or both of them? And in the case of Red Hat, because they have a history of publishing even unfixed data in their distro feed, like they'll disclose vulnerabilities before they're patched, we match against the RPM and we drop the PyPy package. And this has the advantage that if Red Hat pushed a patch, so we actually have like URL lib3 2.7-E some nonsense, it's actually the 8th version of that PyPy RPM, then we can use the fact that Red Hat reports it as fixed to eliminate the PyPy package vulnerability. And so for distros that Grype considers comprehensive, that is, they have a history of disclosing even their unpatched vulnerabilities, we will delete the language ecosystem package in favor of the OS package manager package. So Grype will not match against the PyPy. It will only match against the RPM on Red Hat. On SLES, we don't have a history of the SLES packages disclosing unfixed things, or at least it doesn't make it into Funnel. And so we can't do that optimization. And so what's really happening is Grype considers two packages, a patched fixed OS package manager package that contains the Python, Flask in this case, and a PyPy package Flask, who just by version number seems vulnerable. And Grype is actually correctly reporting the first as fixed and incorrectly reporting the second as vulnerable because it doesn't know, it's not able to connect the dots because it can't assume that a search miss from the SLES package manager matching can override a search hit from the GHSA matching. So there are two ways we could fix this. One is a negative matches proposal, which we have written up and which we started working on a couple times. And the other is a proposal that Weston wrote up, which is to make SLES a comprehensive distro feed by pulling in its unfixed packages. And then we could just then we could trust the distro feed for all those, and we could just never consider the PyPy package for matching, and that would also fix that category. So it was a really long answer. Let me see if I can find Weston's vulnerability. But there's like, this particular GitHub user reports false positives of Grype against SLES pretty consistently. They contribute a lot in that regard. And a large category of them would be fixed if we did either Weston's proposal or the negative matches proposal. I think Weston's proposal might be easier. Let me go find.
You seem to be the authority on this one.
Just so I understand, so the current behavior is because SLES is not a comprehensive data feed, we do not treat the packages that have the overlap, the file overlap, as omitted packages.
Right.
But
because we could cause false negatives. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, but in the case that we had, let's say, this Python 3, we do have an RPM packet or whatever package, right? And we don't have an entry in the database, in the RPM or the SLES data that says it's, let's say for argument's sake, there's no fixed information there. There's nothing in there about this package, but there is a vulnerability. Wouldn't that match anyway? The like the CPE matching or the GHSA matching to say that this RPM or this SLES package is vulnerable. So then we would have two different vulnerabilities for like the same vulnerability for like the RPM package and then also for the PyPy package that we found. And I guess I'm just trying to understand why that's special compared to the comprehensive distro feeds.
So the comprehensive distro feed is like, so the problem is that the individual matchers report, there are really three things that can happen within a matcher. It can say, it can have a database miss where it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, nothing for this package. Or it can have a database hit where it's like, hey, I found a vulnerable one. Or it can have a detected negative where it's like, I found this package, I found this vulnerability, and it is patched. And the problem is that Grype's code, like after matching begins, doesn't distinguish between the search miss and the, I posted a vulnerable issue in the chat that might help. So basically, because the control flow of the matchers is they build up an array of matches and then eliminate them, and they actually shorten the array as they go. If I'm at the end and I'm like, okay, there's no match from those are the ones that would be fixed by this. If I'm and the one we're talking about is one of them, which is why I just jumped to the bigger discussion rather than talking about it particularly.
Got it.
So the problem is like the SLES distro matcher that says nothing about Flask. And then how do I know? Is that because I know the package is patched, or is that because there's a gap in the feed and I don't know the package is vulnerable? I can't tell which of those situations I'm in. Did that make sense, Keith?
Okay. So we're just missing a fundamental thing that says there's no record, like there's no record in here. We just treat it as everything's fixed, basically.
Or we treat it as like, you can't tell the difference between a negative match and a search miss in Grype code outside the very narrow method within the matcher. And those are really different things, and I really want to push on that. As a workaround for now, if we have a comprehensive distro, we pre-process the SBOM and just nuke the PyPy package on Red Hat, because we know that Red Hat would report the vulnerable or fixed information either way if we have an RPM that's wrapping the PyPy package. So we do that before matching begins. But if it's not a comprehensive distro, we can't do that before matching begins because we might make a false negative. So Weston's proposal is that we change Vunnel so that SLES is a comprehensive distro, because apparently they are publishing this information. We're just not ingesting it. And then my proposal, which I think we should also do, is that we make the Grype matchers able to report a negative match. And then we can write a business rule like, if the distro matcher says it's fixed and the GHSA matcher says it's vulnerable, the distro knows better what they put in their distro than GitHub does, so the distro matcher wins. Like right now, we can't write that business rule because there's nowhere in the code that knows whether the distro matcher rejected the vulnerability because of a search miss or because of a known patch. And I think there should be. So that was a really long explanation. Did that work for people? Did that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to tie these issues together so it's visible as to, so like by the time we do negative matches, we're going to be wanting to find like, hey, show me a case where I could show it got better. Like, so I think we should make sure we link these together, and as we find them, link them.
Like these? This fine person here appears to be doing a good job of that for us.
Like these, not, but not, I don't know if all of these fall directly into that category. So like if they're explicitly linked to that issue, that would be, I think that would be ideal. The negative matches issue that
so I just showed the negative matches issue. It's interesting. Most of the places where we would fix the negative negative matches, we would also fix by making SLES a comprehensive distro. But I think that's probably go ahead.
Well, maybe that's like good information in and of itself, because like it could be as part of testing. Like say we do the SLES enhancement in Vunnel first, say that lands, that merges in, etc. Well, a great way to test this would be like, turn that off, build that custom database with the old version of Vunnel, that is, and just perform matching, but with the new negative matches capability, and then watch the same, better results occur for just less artifacts. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that there's probably some sampling bias in that, because we have someone who's very interested in the number of vulnerabilities Grype reports against SLES images. And like for other non-comprehensive distros, like there's nobody doing this for like, I don't know, Gentoo or whatever. And maybe if they did, they'd find just as much stuff. So.
Yeah, and for folks on the stream and interested, so like I think in the coming weeks, Will, right now you're starting to pick up the work that's like the start of negative matches. Like it's the refactor the pipeline to be able to, have more things than just matches and ignore matches. So it'd be like all kind of put together into one collection. And then going forward, it'd be a lot easier to create negative matches from matches. We have to figure out the names for all this stuff. We're calling those right now. And so if folks are interested in that, definitely shout out on this negative matches issue thoughts?
I put a link to the negative matches, the big negative matches issue in the chat. So yeah, there's 2 fixes for the SLES issue, which is either explicitly figuring out negative matches or making the SLES feed comprehensive by pulling in their oval data. I think we should probably do both because there's other stuff we got from negative matches, and there's no point in ignoring data that the SLES people are publishing.
Yeah, authoritative feeds are better than trying to do the negative matching ourselves. So,
can I ask a
like,
dumb
we're gonna
person
do both.
question? I have a dumb person question, which is, what's the difference between a comprehensive distro and a non-comprehensive distro?
So these are terms I'm made up.
Okay.
What we mean specifically is a comprehensive distro is a distro whose vulnerability feed has a history of disclosing unpatched vulnerabilities. And what I mean by that is, like, some vendors disclose vulnerabilities after they're fixed, which means you can't do forward scanning based only on that distro feed, right? You can tell when you fixed something, but you can't tell when you need to fix something. So that is not a comprehensive distro. Some distros disclose vulnerabilities when they are known to the distro, or at least much sooner than they are fixed. That is a comprehensive distro. So, like, Red Hat has a history of disclosing vulnerabilities before they're patched, which is nice because then you know about them. Other vendors don't necessarily do that.
Okay.
SLES is in an interesting place because they do disclose vulnerabilities ahead of time, and so could be considered a comprehensive distro. But we're not picking that up in Funnel, and so we should do some work in Funnel to do that. The name comes from that's just a variable, literally a variable name in Grype, that is linked from Weston's SLES issue that I posted in chat earlier.
Thank you. So there isn't really a short, quick answer to the issue that I picked out. I appreciate, because it's one of many, right?
I mean, we could say, like, we could link to the negative matches and the well, this is actually Python 3 URL lib3. I did not realize that. But
well, this one is. I mean, there's a few.
Yeah, we could link to them, and I don't know if it's worth doing the work to verify that all of them are of this shape. I think most of them are.
Okay.
Especially where we see a GitHub match against an RPM or the SLES version of an RPM, then we're probably talking about this shape of issue.
So
but either Weston, go ahead.
So then, if we don't make an explicit link, maybe we just put in the correct GitHub search filter as a comment in the negative matches issue, and that's good enough. So if we think that, so.
Yeah, well, and we could also, that's fine, and it's already in Weston's issue. So
I need to point out that we're at the end of time. We're over time a little bit, so unfortunately I can't give you any more. But the good news is all the ones that I had open were all of that same class. So that's great. I feel we've achieved something today. Is it worth is there a thread we want to start somewhere, or is this just, you clearly already know about this? It's not necessarily something that we can give a short answer to because it needs a bit of work.
It might be worth posting something on these issues from this GitHub user. I don't know how to say that exactly, but it might be worth linking them either to Weston's Funnel issue and the negative matches issue, and just say, like, hey, there are 2 approaches that might fix this. Link, stay tuned, and just so they're not unacknowledged. I think that might be worth doing.
I would actually just link the Funnel one, because I mean, best case, because it's very focused. We know that the canonically right thing or semantically useful to do here is to upgrade Funnel. So And
That
we're
one.
gonna do negative matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're gonna do negative matches, but there's nothing actionable there for this particular user. Because it might be that he wants to go and like update the provider to start parsing the new overlay.
Right.
So cool.
You could just say like this is caused by and link to the bundle issue, and on all of those, and maybe we'll get a bundle contribution. That'd be a pretty cool outcome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, chaps. Sorry for the fumbling at the start and the computer misuse. I appreciate all the input you've given on all of these. It's really helpful, and I learn stuff every time. So, same time next week. Have a good weekend, everyone, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks so much.
All right.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers.